What is going on, 4 for 4 Familia? Over on YouTube, over on X. Absolutely appreciate everyone for tuning in on your Wednesday night. We are answering all start sit questions heading into week 11 fantasy football. And it's absolutely crazy that we're already in week 11, but that is what it is. And so I hope your fantasy football teams are doing well. I hope you're on the verge of making the playoffs, in front of the playoffs. And if somehow you're down low, you're still competing, trying to make a way, find a way, even if it is a 1% chance of trying to make it into the overall playoffs. So like I said, right now we got 5 people on YouTube. We got 115 people tuning in over on X. We are answering all start sit questions as they come into the chat. The best viewing experience is over on the 4for4 Fantasy Football YouTube channel. We're putting out 5 to 6 videos a week with me, Addison, and John Paulson to help you guys win your fantasy football lineup. So if you want some great content as we kind of end out the season, definitely come check out the 4for4 Fantasy Football channel. But for those of you that have already put your questions in over on the YouTube channel, we absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. And hit a like for me, guys. Absolutely appreciate if you guys would do it. We got Gio up in here first, and he asked, Old Man Joe or JJ McCarthy? Well, wouldn't it be great? Old Man Joe versus Pittsburgh. This is a great matchup. We're super excited to get Joe Burrow back. But honestly, even with kind of Joe Burrow and this injury, I'm a little bit intrigued when he comes back about like how mobile he's going to be. And then JJ McCarthy versus Chicago. Honestly, both are kind of, I would say, like Joe Flacco for me is the higher rated one. Gio, where I have Joe Flacco as a back end QB1. And then JJ McCarthy, he is right around QB 15 for me. So I would lean with Old Man Joe in this matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's an in-division game. And I just we tend to see Jamar Chase absolutely ball out. That should help Joey Boy Flacco. Gio, appreciate you being here. Thanks for tuning in. We got C up here in the building. He said, hey, Caleb, hope's all well. Thanks in advance for the help. C, I hope I've been doing good. You've been asking me a ton of start sit questions this season like you did last season, and I hope you're winning. That's my hope, C. That's my hope. You said 10-team standard, Caleb Williams, Roger Stroud, Mariota, Brissett, Daniel Jones, or T-Law this week. I think you got to go Caleb Williams in this matchup versus Minnesota. We've seen him be absolutely top 5 in points per game the last 2 weeks. Let's ride the hot hand here. See, I would lean into that. Understand maybe there's some upside with some of these other guys, but for me, I would go Caleb Williams very, very easily right there. See, not really close for me at all. And then you said 6-team standard, Caleb Williams, McCarthy, Rogers, Stafford. In this one, though, I would go with Matthew Stafford. And the only reason that I would go with Matthew Stafford in this matchup, it's actually close between Stafford and Prescott. It's weird that in a 6-team you could be like streaming QB a little bit. Matchup versus Vegas is very, very appealing for me with Dak Prescott, but Matthew Stafford versus Seattle, the spread is just super high. And so I do want to kind of lean into this for Matthew Stafford. They're going to have to throw the ball. Now, the only thing is, of course, Seattle's defenses versus the Las Vegas defense, it's 2 different stories. So, of course, maybe you're like, hey, Dak Prescott has a little bit easier a matchup than Matty Boy Stafford. But the part that I do want to talk about here is if the Dallas Cowboys get up, pretty big in halftime, then is this going to be a game script where, it's a little bit more run heavy in the second half and not so much pass happy? So that's my only worry with Dak Prescott and why I think Matthew Stafford, they're going to have to sling the ball all over the field for the full game for them to end up getting that W. So I go Matthew Bo Stafford. Adam said, yo, what up, Adam? Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being here. And then you said, sounds crazy, but would you trade Genty for Aaron Jones and Henderson? If Henderson takes the job going forward, is he not top 15? My running backs are Genty, Rashad White, Bucky, Charbs, Kamara. So, Adam, I will say this. We are at this really, really awkward part of the season for Trevion Henderson where, of course, like trade deadlines are usually this week or next week. A lot of leagues are this week. I even have a few leagues where the trade deadline's already passed. And we just saw Trevion Henderson have his best game of the season. We talk about the second half breakout for a lot of these running backs. The part for me that just makes me a little bit nervous for Trevion Henderson is, of course, there's going to be no Ramondre this week. But going forward, I mean, Ramondre is still going to have a role. So even if Trevion Henderson comes out here this week, and let's say he does what he did last week, where he puts up like 28 fantasy points or maybe 25, let's just say that. And so he has back-to-back weeks of 28 and 25 fantasy points. A lot of people are going to boost Trevion Henderson up into that top 16, top 15 rest of season. If you're talking rest of season rankings for Ashton Genty, he's probably right there at like RB 13. And then Aaron Jones, we saw him get a lot more work. Now we're looking at your team. We're assuming that hopefully Bucky Irving can come back. So even if you had like Bucky Irving and Ashton Genty, it's not the end of the world. My only real worry and concern with Trevion Henderson as a whole is we haven't seen the full Mike Vrabel. I'm going to just continue to trust and rely on Trevion Henderson. So really for me, this is where it kind of comes down to when we're talking Ashton Genty like rest of season, he's probably sliding somewhere in the rest of season rankings, somewhere right around like RB 10 ish range. And so that's the part for me where I'm like, okay, if you're talking RB 10 to RB 11, and then you're talking what Trevion Henderson right now, probably right around RB 20-ish rest of season. Because you want to push him a little bit higher, but knowing that there's a little bit of downside risk that he doesn't fully take over this backfield because he maybe it's only a 1 game sample size. And then Aaron Jones, of course, he did take the Jordan Mason carries. He's been getting into the high snap share, but he's also like down in the RB 20, like to RB 23 range. So you're trading essentially the RB 13-12 for 2 guys in the 20s. And so you're kind of losing a little bit of upside there. But if Trevion Henderson hits way above that RB 20 and is RB 15, then you win this deal, Adam. So just kind of depends. I think with your running back room, you kind of need 2 options week to week. Because if you get Bucky back and then Aaron Jones can be a starter, then maybe Hendo is like RB 3 at worst case scenario, or Henderson is an absolute league winner, I could see you doing this. But Adam, let me know what the rest of your team looks like and what your record is. C said 10-team standard, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Barkley, Hall, Warren or Etienne, and London, AJ Brown, or Rice. Yeah, I mean, so the 2 wide receivers and the flex are going to be London, AJ Brown, and Rice. So that leaves 2 running backs in a full standard league this week. And see, I've been like telling you, banging the drum for like Saquon Barkley. But goodness gracious, Saquon Barkley is just a little bit lower for me this week. He is RB 12. I would go with Jalen Warren number 1, and then I'd still go Saquon Barkley as my RB 2. If we look a little bit further down this week for me, Breece Hall, RB 19. I don't love this matchup versus the Patriots. I think they're going to be playing from behind. We did see him kind of take that swing pass and take it to the house, but that's really the only thing that helped his day. He had a lot of volume. It just wasn't a great efficient volume. And then Travis Etienne's a little bit lower than Breece Hall. So I would go with Barkley, Warren, London, AJ Brown, and Rice there, C, in the 10-team league standard. And then your other standard league, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, Barkley, Jacobs, Javonte Williams, or Hall and London, Waddle, Rice, or Odunze. So the 2 wide receivers for sure are going to be London and Rice. The 2 running backs for me are going to be Jacobs and Javonte. And then we get 2 flex. I would go Barkley and I would go Odunze. Yeah, it's close between Odunze and Waddle. Let me just double check the rankings. I believe I have Odunze above Waddle. It is against Washington though. I think I'm gonna have to switch this. See, I think I'm gonna go Waddle here. So I'd go Rice. So London, Rice, Waddle would be the 3 that I would go wide receiver wise, and then Javonte, Jacobs, Barkley. Now, if you wanted to debate Barkley versus Rome Odunze, that's open there, see. But in any standard, I lean with the running back, so I'd go Barkley, even though that Saquon Barkley's been up and down this season. But if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you are over on X, come over onto the YouTube on the new 4for4 Fantasy Football YouTube channel. We are on the way to 2,500 subscribers. We are putting out content each and every day. So we absolutely appreciate everyone for tuning in on your Wednesday night, especially if your fantasy teams are doing well. We absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. And I realized with me wearing the red light, we're up here. The face is looking real red here tonight. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, what that's about, but we'll say the cheeks are looking a little cherry here. We got Adam coming in, said I also want to start Flacco over Mahomes just because of Denver's defense. Thoughts? Denver's defense has been tough for sure, but I don't think we can. The way that Patrick Mahomes has been playing all season, I don't think I can push him below Joe Flacco because you do just have the built-in Konami code quarterback upside floor, Adam, that you have with Patrick Mahomes. So even if somehow maybe he only throws for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, he has built in that 30 to 40 rushing yards that just happen from him scrambling. And so I just want to lean into Patrick Mahomes there over Joe Flacco, have them about 4 spots apart. And I lean Patrick Mahomes. Up in the Guts said, evening. Appreciate you, Up in the Guts. You said standard Chase Brown or RJ Harvey now that Dobbins will probably be out 100%. So the issue in this kind of case here, with it being kind of like in standard, is some of the receiving upside that we would get from an RJ Harvey is just mitigated a little bit. So this kind of comes down to the volume that you like with each of them. Um, it's honestly not great matchups for either of these guys. Chase Brown versus Pittsburgh, uh, RJ Harvey versus Kansas City, with the over under. Fantasy point like projections that I have, they're super close. They're actually back to back. Um, I would personally lean with RJ Harvey over Chase Brown, but it's like back to back here up in the gut. So if you like prefer Chase Brown because you think he's going to get more volume, the only thing we kind of have seen is Samaje Perine just eating a little bit more into Chase Brown, and RJ Harvey. I'm not necessarily concerned about any of the backups. Tyler Batty can go kick rocks there. RJ Harvey's the guy that you want there up in the guts. Zlay 655024. Appreciate you. You said Brissett, Rodgers, McCarthy, or Tua this week. Great questions. I'm assuming we're answering this in 4-point. I think you got to lean into Brissett over versus San Francisco. They're going to have to stay in the game. I think you could make the argument it's like Brissett versus McCarthy would be the two ways that I would lean here. But I personally would lean into Jacoby Brissett, which just feels nasty. It just feels nasty. Now, the thing that we're assuming that there's no Marvin Harrison Jr., so it's going to be the Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch show. So maybe you're like, hey, let's lean into JJ McCarthy, because he's got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, but also like he wasn't super efficient in this last game, and so for me, I lean Brissett at this current moment, but there's a chance that as we approach game time that I flip this to JJ McCarthy. I have them back to back there, Slay. So honestly, I'll leave that up to you between those two options, but I do have Brissett higher at this current moment with the matchup. C said, I'm in 3 leagues, tied for first in 1, second place in 1, and fifth. Yeah, let's go, C. Let's go. That's what we like to hear. That's why you keep coming back. That's why this man keeps coming back to the stream. He said, he said we need to just keep winning. See, I appreciate you, bro. Your teams are just so good. It's honestly like I'm not even helping you. You got like 8 different guys that could be in anybody's starting lineup week to week, and I'm just giving you my favorites. Up in the guts, it's standard. Jefferson, Rice, Odunze, JSN, sit one. This week it's going to be Odunze. Yeah, you're definitely not sitting Rice. You're not sitting JSN, clearly. Then it kind of just comes down to, do you want Odunze versus Jefferson? And I just think this matchup for Jefferson, he's not like a top 5 wide receiver for me this week, but he's still a top 10. Odunze is a little bit lower. He is at wide receiver 15. So I would personally be going with everybody but Odunze. They're up in the guts. And then we got Slay coming in, said PPR, pick 2 running back and flex. Dowdle, Henderson, Marks, Vidal, Sean Tucker, Tet McMillan, Gadsden. Pick 2 running back and a flex. Yeah, so you're going to have to go Henderson in this matchup. It's a juicy matchup versus the Jets with no Ramondre. You're going to have to go with Rico Dowdle. I think Rico Dowdle is a top 10 running back. He's getting all the volume. So you got to feel really good. I feel like you got top 14 running backs there between the two. And then with a flex, it comes down to Marks, Tet McMillan, and then Gadsden. So let me just check my flex rankings and see where I have all of these guys. Woody. Yeah, I think you got to go Woody here. Yeah, I don't love the matchup versus Atlanta for Tet. And then, yeah, I would go Woody. That's the way that I would go. Gadsden's interesting. I think we love Gadsden. And Zlay, here you might miss out on a Gadsden like breakout, or like, if he gets the target share that he got like 2 weeks ago. I just think Marks has the volume and similar upside. So I think the floor is just a little safer with Marks this week versus Gadsden. So I go Dowdle, Henderson, Marks. Zlay, appreciate you. Except I really do like Gadsden. I have Gadsden in some spots, and I have a team where I have Bowers and Gadsden. So like kind of week to week, I do have that same conversation, Zlay, of do I put Gadsden in the flex? Sewell said 10-team standard, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Gibbs, Warren, Aaron Jones, JCM, Amon St. Brown, Chase, Lamb, or Odunze. Yeah, dude. So you're going to be playing, oh my goodness, 2 running backs. We're going to go Gibbs, Warren this week. And then 2 wide receivers, you're going to go Chase, Lamb. And then 2 flex, you're going to go Amon St. Brown. And then you're going to go Aaron Jones. I would take Aaron Jones this week over Odunze. But if you prefer Odunze, that's fine. But in standard, I lean with Aaron Jones. So all three wide receivers, and then Gibbs, Warren, Aaron Jones. See. Anthony said, "What's up, Caleb? How are we feeling, brother? Brother, doing good, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in, dude. Appreciate you hanging out here, hopping in the chat. And then chat, how's everyone doing tonight? We love you. Thanks for hyping up the chat, Anthony. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Gio said, how much do you trust the Ravens defense to stop Judkins? I want to pick them up, but I feel like QJ is going to cook some Raven soup. Well, I would say this. As of late, the Baltimore Ravens defense has been playing better and better and better. Now, this matchup, I don't necessarily like love it, but I also don't hate it. And so it just kind of depends how you feel on it. I still think, honestly, though, like it's less about Quinton Judkins, because even if Judkins gets, let's say he gets 100 yards and a touchdown, I don't think he's doing what he just did to Miami, a few weeks ago where he had like 3 touchdowns. But I feel like Dylan Gabriel, first off, the Browns passed off the offensive play calls to Tommy Reese. And it felt like they did a little bit better about like getting Jerry Jeudy the ball and trying to get their playmakers out in space. But I just feel like the Baltimore Ravens, they're really starting to pick it up. And so I feel comfortable. Like the Ravens are a top 7 defense for me this week. So I'm easily starting them. If that helps you, Gio. I think the chance of a Dylan Gabriel interception or a turnover is pretty high. And then I also think that the thing that you have to consider here, Gio, as before I get to Anthony's question, is the fact that the Ravens are probably going to get up, even though the Cleveland Browns have, a super tough defense. I just think if the Ravens get up early, which should happen based on Vegas metrics, then we could be talking about the Browns in the second half having to throw the ball and just going away from the run, which is where they're super dominant. Anthony said, another week of YouTube putting my government name out for the hacks. Oh my goodness, Anthony. Dude, you must have done something. You must have done something. But I'm over here just calling you out by your name, C said, thanks, brother. How is Junior? Junior's doing good. He's 2 months old. We just hit 2 months. So last Friday, he got his 2-month-old visit, which was fun. He's growing rapidly, and he's getting bigger. So he's 9 pounds currently. So he's actually, when he was born at 37 weeks. So he was like, only 5 pounds, 13 ounces, and now he's 9 pounds. So he's growing larger. He's a little guy. So right now he's like at like a 30th percentile or something like that. But I grew late, so he'll probably end up growing late and it'll be all fine. But yeah, he's definitely great. Definitely great. We're actually getting more sleep too. So we were getting like 2 hours to 2.5 hours of like before he would like wake up and want a bottle or something. And now we're at like 4. So it's absolutely really great. Appreciate you, C. Thanks for asking. Appreciate you up in the guts. Thanks for tuning in, man. It means the absolute world. Is Gadsden playing this week? If not, I'm forced to play Musgrave. No, Gadsden is playing this week. So they came out and said that Gadsden, everything came back. It was just like a bone bruise. And he practiced today. So yeah, Gadsden is 100% a top 4 option. And I would be sliding him in there. Musgrave is way lower in my rankings. He'd be a decent play if you had no better option. But Gadsden, to me, is an elite play this week versus Jacksonville, who are terrible against tight ends. And so I would want to lean into Gadsden this week. They're in the tight end spot. But in the sense of like Gadsden versus Woody Marks and the question above, I'd still go Woody Marks. I'm not going to lie, guys. I've been lacking in the waivers the past 2 weeks, and there's no one on the waivers. See, this is the thing, though. This is when we talk about waivers, and honestly, this is one of the reasons that I don't do a waiver. We talked about it here on the 4for4 Fantasy Football channel. If you tune onto the site, if you guys subscribe to the site, 4for4 site, there's waiver wire articles and everything that you guys could need. So definitely check that out. If you use YouTube 20 or YouTube as the code word, you actually get 25% off. There's a trade tool, which is now kind of irrelevant now that trade season's almost over. But there's rest of season rankings. You get John Paulson's rankings each and every week, a start sit tool, which is super helpful. But when it comes to the waiver wire in particular, the hardest thing is that I watch other channels or other videos, and it's pick up Trey Benson or pick up Joe Burrow. And I'm most leagues, if it's competitive, Joe Burrow was put on the IR spot, or Joe Burrow I don't know. Like maybe he was dropped. Maybe potentially, but there hasn't been anybody juicy the last 2 weeks. Like if you're playing in like deep leagues, it's like your best option this week was like Amari DeMarcado potentially if he was dropped, or like Luther Burden. Like Alec Pierce isn't out there on waivers. Like people picked those guys up like 2 weeks ago. And so that's really why we do like the stash video. Like I put out that stash video each and every week. Main reason that I put out the stash video is to help you guys get ahead of the waiver wire, to get you guys shots on guys, because a lot of times the guys they pop, they're already on somebody's roster, and so you just have to get ahead of the curve there. And Anthony said, "I don't believe I need waivers anyway." No, you're funny, bro. You're funny. Up in the gut said, "Shoot, my bad. Correction, not Jefferson. It was Lamb. So basically, Lamb or Dunze. Oh, Lamb. Up in the guts. I actually have Lamb ahead of Jefferson, so that is easier for me. I would 100% be going with Lamb there. But guys, we have caught up to all start state questions. So if you are somebody that is tuning in over on the 4for4 Football X channel, come check out the 4for4 Fantasy Football YouTube channel. We're absolutely growing over here, trying to grow this community. We also have a Discord that most people don't know about. So if you guys want to join the Discord, that is linked down below, as well as we are answering every question on the stream, as well as answering every start sit question this season. So if you guys do not somehow a question arises, something changes between now and Sunday, leave it on a video. Make sure to leave it on my stash video, because I check all my comments on the stash video or my kicker or defensive rankings video, and we will make sure to get that answered for you so that you guys have time, of course, to set your lineups each and every week. It is a subscriber only chat here tonight over on the 4for4 Football YouTube channel. And that is because we want you guys subscribed over here so that you guys get the notifications and can ask all your questions whenever you want. He said, I got an update on the team. Herbert, Achane, Judkins, Marks, Ollie Gordon, Dylan Sampson, Abuka, Smitty, Pierce, Parker Washington, BTJ, Gadsden, Musgrave. Yeah, so I love everything about this team. We feel like we got 3 solid running back options with some handcuffs. At wide receiver, you got to feel good about Emeka and Smitty, and honestly Pierce, and then whoever between Parker, Washington, BTJ, Gadsden at tight end. We feel good about Herbert. This is a super solid team, Anthony. I feel like we don't necessarily have like one of the top tier, wide receivers necessarily. When it comes to like, we don't have. I'm just judging this. Did you draft like back half of the first round, and did you go what BTJ and Achane in your draft? I assume that's probably how you did. Because I feel like we don't have like that stud like wide receiver necessarily, but like Smitty, the way Smitty's been playing, he's like top 14 rest of the season. Then Ibuka's top 10. So you have 2 top 14 options. Yeah, I imagine this. That's when I initially saw, I was like, man, looking back on the ADP, I was like, he had to go. Yeah, Achan and then BTJ, which is unfortunate. I went. There was my like home league, and it's like my oldest redraft league that I've been a part of. I was in the back. I was picked 10. And I remember I drafted Malik Neighbors with my first pick. Yeah, ouch. And then I was like, I'm gonna go double hero wide receiver was like my strategy, because it was like full PPR. And the pick before me got the pick between Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London went, and then it was Brian Thomas Jr. or Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua had fallen in the second round. And I remember being like, man, I'll take whoever falls here. Like, I'll just take whoever falls and I'll be happy. And the guy ahead of me drafted Puka Nacua, and then I got Brian Thomas Jr. I was like, man, what a start. Malik and Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and you can imagine my team is on the verge of not making the playoffs. So that was me, Anthony. But glad you got Achan. It seemed like your team is rebounding, or at least you have enough wide receiver depth to make up for that mistake. First seed in 12 team start 11 dynasty super flex. Do I trade Burrow, Bucky, and Ridley for Josh Allen? Burrow and Bucky have good playoffs, but I might not be healthy. Dude, in a 12 team start 11 dynasty super flex. So the difference between a start 9 to start 11 is pretty dramatic in my humble opinion. And AS, I don't know if you've tuned in to the Dynasty channel. It's our sister channel. Me and Addison make content over there. It's actually called DLF. And I see you just dropped your team, but I'm going to do this like my initial thoughts, and then I'll double check your team. So ideally, you're going from Burrow being what, QB7, QB8 right now, maybe QB6, depending on how, let's just say QB7. For Bucky, who's kind of dropped, he's still a top 10 running back, like RB9. And then Ridley really doesn't matter for me for Josh Allen. Like initially out the jump, I just say, give me Josh Allen. But then if your team is Caleb, Burrow, Flacco, Gibbs, Bucky, Javante, Woody, yeah. So you got the wide receivers 100%. And so AS, the thing that I will say is like Gibbs, like Bucky would be your clear number 2 running back and probably has a little bit of like value. So like you're gonna have to figure out AS how you're gonna replace Bucky down the line with the cheaper option. Like you hit on it with Javante. Maybe Woody can be that for you. Like maybe Woody turns into, a top 16, 17 dynasty running back. And if that's the case, then maybe he could take a jump like a Bucky, maybe towards the back half of the season. But it does feel bad to like feel like you're giving up some of your running back depth here, especially I imagine you're pursuing a chip. But the thing is right now is Burrow's probably not going to provide like the game winning upside for you rest of the season. And I think Josh Allen provides that this season and next. And so if you can even get a like lesser running back, at some point, I think you're going to be really good there. AS. So 100%. Give me Josh Allen each and every day of the week, even though he has been struggling relative to Josh Allen's performance. So we got Up in the Gut said, last question. I see you have another one. Dude, just firing away. You're allowed to fire as many as you want. Big Dog, Goddard or Ferguson this week? Oh, dude. I think you got to go Goddard. Goddard's getting more and more involved. And I just believe it's a CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens day versus Vegas. So give me Goddard this week, but it is really close. E's are really close. And AS, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Anything I can do dynasty wise, like I said, we focus more AS on like the dynasty content on the DLF channel, and that really starts to take off like this off season. Addison's posting about he does like a stream a week and a video a week, but we definitely will start posting more over there, more this off season. I think he said someone traded Rashid, Keenan Allen, and Kelsey for Puka, and the guy who has Puka has nearly 4 wide receiver ones. See, that's crazy because that's nothing. Like I'd do that for Puka each and every day. You said he has Waddle, Puka, McConkey, and Higgins. Yeah, but he gave away the best one and got like nothing back. Like he didn't get a single player that would be like a top 4 or 5 round pick. He literally got like if Puka's $1, he literally got back 30 cents. That's a terrible trade. I'm so close. I'll read that in a second, but yeah, no, that's a crazy trade. Up in the Gut said one more kicker, Pinero or Riker this week. So in my kicker rankings this week, I don't know if you tuned in to my kicker rankings this week. Let me pull these up because I personally put these together and I will lean into how I had it. So I have Riker 1 spot ahead of Pinero. I love me some Panera. So Up in the Guts, I honestly have like Panera on like all my teams, but it's also the last, 2 out of the last 3 weeks have kind of been like stinkers. And so for me, I would go with Reichert. I think he's like in my reliable tier. So I feel really good about Reichert. One Diary said start 3, Trevion, Etienne, Swift, Judkins, Devontae Smith. It's going to be pretty easy for me here with these options. It's going to be Trevion, Judkins, and Devontae Smith there, Wandery. Good options with ETN and Swift. I know having to bench them doesn't feel great, but I like the upside of Trevion versus the Jets with no Ramondre. Devontae Smith, you got to keep leaning into him being the wide receiver 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is crazy to say. And then Judkins, yeah, it's crazy. Anthony said, I was so close to convincing someone who was 3-7 to trade me Derrick Henry and Kittle. Oh, dude, that would have been good. That would have been good. I got a deal done a few weeks ago where I traded away. I feel really good about it now. I had a team that was like loaded with like a bunch of my starting running backs were Travis Etienne, Trevion Henderson, and at the time it was Bam Knight. Like I had nobody, and I traded somebody. But I had a ton of wide receiver 2s and like tight ends on the team, and so I traded away George Kittle, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Travis Etienne for Kyron Williams and Ashton Genty. And this is like after Ashton Genty had like 2 stinkers. I revamped my whole running back room. It feels so great because I have Genty, Kyron Williams, Trayvon Henderson, my wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London. I got Brock Bowers, Aronde Gadsden. Like we're feeling like the team is just rejuvenated. Brian Thomas Jr. is my wide receiver 3. Would love that to be a little bit better, but you win some, you lose some. Gio said that trade is horrendous. That was a very bad trade. Not the one I just said, but but the one for Puka Nakua earlier, that was crazy. Up in the Guts said, right on. Appreciate it always. Have a good night. Cheers till next time. Appreciate you, Up in the Guts. Absolutely appreciate you tuning in and having a good time tonight. Gio said, I managed to get Amon Ra for Ricky, JMO, Monica, and Chip. Gio, same thing. You just traded 4 quarters for $1, but those 4 quarters might never have sniffed your lineup. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is. I think that's the thing. Like, some people like the volume. Like, there's some people in the league that like depth, but like at the end of the day, like, who's going to win you a championship? Like Ricky Pearsall or Amon-Ra St. Brown? It's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I'm glad you did that deal. We buy homes near you. Appreciate you. You said start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, Ibuka, T. Higgins, Rice, and Jay Jettis. I would sit T. Higgins there. We buy homes. So I would go with Ibuka, Rashee Rice, and Justin Jefferson. Very easy. Have all 3 of those guys as top 10 options this week. Absolutely appreciate you for tuning in. Gio said that guy was also eliminated from playoffs. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. His team is absolutely. Someone should have, listen, I'm against vetoes, but that someone should have said, brother, what were you drinking or what were you smoking tonight? Because that was absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. But we are at the 35-minute mark. So if you guys want to put in your last start sit questions, we absolutely appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. I will say this, the chat for everybody, you guys have been holding it down 100%. But keep throwing your questions in here, because if we start to slow down, I don't have anywhere to pivot because I'm just here to answer your guys' questions. So I'm here for as long as you guys are here, and it's a good time. It's a very good time. Anthony said, I like my team, but the only ones I'm nervous about is Judkins and Marks moving forward, hoping my team can stack up against the other top 4. That's the issue that you do have to worry about, is like, can my running backs hold me down? I 100% feel that week to week. And if Judkins is being maybe a top 16 running back and not, closer to that top 12 or top 13, like, you get a little bit worried about it, especially with your wide receivers not having like, and I'm just being honest, like, none of your wide receivers have like top 5 upside, like rest of the season. They both have top 10 upside, top 12, but then you're feeling like, okay, cool. Like Achan's my only like top 3. So if someone has like a Jonathan Taylor, and maybe, they have like a Jamar Chase type team, or, they drafted one of the, like a CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor type team. You just feel like you don't have that same level of upside that your team has, but you do have depth on your side. So hopefully, and maybe, like I said, maybe Marks or Judkins turns it around and turns into a top 12 back rest of the season. You feel pretty good about it. Anthony, I think you're in a good spot. But yeah, I wouldn't say that you're a front runner, but I think you just got to get into the playoffs and hope things bounce your way. But that's really all fantasy football is. Gio said, I now have Puka, Waddle, and Amon-Ra. Theirs was a worst trade last week by Mike Mish. Got JT and Gibbs for 10 cents. Made him give Gibbs back. Yeah, see, the people that do that, like, are we in a competitive league, or are we just, like, messing around? Like, that's the thing that, like, I understand some people don't understand values, and some people just don't play fantasy football, or, like, they don't tune into, like, content creators, or, like, they watch content on fantasy football. Like, they're just setting the lineup based on projections and drafts, and I understand it. Some people just do it really for fun. But when you do trades like that, that can like just mess up a league, especially if there's any sort of money involved. We buy homes. You said, appreciate you, brother. Last one, Hendo or Kyron this week, standard league. Worried about the Seahawks defense is why I'm asking. Dude, I can't believe you're saying this. I think you got to go. I think you got to go Travion Henderson here. I think I am a little bit worried about that. I think they're also like pretty heavy passing attack. And you add in the fact that like Kyron, he's been super efficient this season. So like, I still think Kyron Williams for most people is going to be a start. But if we're talking, in a standard, I mean, Travion Henderson's getting 75% of the work this week versus a terrible Jets front. And we're assuming that this is like the largest, money or point total for the Patriots, like that I've seen in weeks. And they're like one of the top 3 scoring is what Vegas is projecting. And so we're just assuming that they're going to get up. And if they're going to be up, in the second half, they're just going to rely on Travion Henderson down the stretch. So I think you're easily talking at least, 17 rushing attempts and, maybe 3 catches, which as we saw last week in the 14 carries, all it takes is just 2 plays for Travion Henderson to break one. And so I'm not saying that he's going to have another 140 yard, 2 tutty type day. But I think there's a ton of potential that he gets over 100 yards and, puts up a very solid, respectable, 16 fantasy points in your lineup. And Kyron Williams, like I said, I don't, unless he scores 2 touchdowns, I don't think we're talking in a way that Kyron Williams outscores Trevion Henderson. Plus, you got Blake Corum eating into the snap more and more each and every week. Anthony said, "This is the last week for trade, so I'm throwing trade ideas out to everyone." Yeah, dude, you fire them away. Like, if you can get deals done, get deals done. I honestly was thinking about in a league. I was like, man, everyone's hyping up Trevion Henderson right now. Like, let me go like pivot to another running back that I think is going to have a little bit more volume and doesn't have like the Ramondre Stevenson question mark whenever he comes back. And then I realized my trade deadline was over in a league, and I was like, I went back and looked, and the trade deadline was at like week 10, and I was like, I need to talk to my league about this next week. And so we're definitely considering the fact that there are going to be some trades that go down, and there might be some bad trades that go down in back alleys of leagues. So we'll have to see. And if he says pick a defense: Steelers, Miami, Bills, Vikings, Bears, Jags, or Browns. Well, Anthony, if you tuned into my defensive video that I posted a day ago, you would know exactly who I decided to choose. But we that's okay. That's okay. Out of these options, let me go down. Pick a defense: Miami, Bills, Browns. I believe I'm gonna go. Yeah, man, this is rough. Yeah, all these are super low, dude. But I would go with the Bears. The Bears would be the way that I would go this week out of those defenses. I think some people might like the Jags. I was not high on the Jags defense this week. Some people were like, "Oh, dude, you need to put the Jags defense." Like, I don't even have them in the top 15. Yeah, someone commented. I just double checked my comments. Someone literally just said, "You forgot about the Chargers and Jags defense this week." And the Chargers defense, I think after seeing, I was assuming, I don't know if Brian Thomas Jr. is playing or not. They probably would have been in the fringe top 12 for me. But when I made the video on Monday, I didn't have them that high. But I would go with the Bears out of those options. There, Anthony. Yeah, dude, tune into my video. Goodness, bro, I'm making it just for you. Gian said trying to get the Texans defense instead of Broncos. Yeah, dude. I mean, the Texans defense versus Tennessee is a juicy matchup this week. That's a top 3 defense for sure. The Broncos versus KC, like, they're just so good. Like, it's the same argument that you make with the Seahawks defense. Now, there's a difference between the Kansas City Chiefs offense and then the Rams offense at this point. I love the Rams a lot more, and it's a little bit more diverse than what we're seeing from Patrick Mahomes. So personally, I would still lean the Broncos as a top 10 play this week, but they're not the top 3 play that the Texans are. So if you can start the Texans, then that's the way that I 100% would be looking at going. But that was the last question that came in from Gio. So I will give it a few seconds. If anybody has any final start sit questions, fire those bad boys into the chat right now. We're answering every start sit question this season. Want you guys here in the community that we continue to build. It's been absolutely amazing. I appreciate all you guys that have been with me before I joined 4for4, now on the 4for4 community. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the content, asking your questions, because we absolutely do appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. But any final start sit questions before we say peace, sayonara, jump out of here? Because we got 5 of you guys in here tuning in, the OGs. And then we got, X is saying there's 492 people tuning in. I don't know if that's true or not. People just scrolling by me saying, hey, this is a good looking guy over there on the 4for4 channel or what. But we're here too for the 490 people that are tuning in. We're 100% here for you. Gio said, who should I drop for Tucker? For who should I drop for Tucker? Oh, like you mean like Tucker Craft? Like if you have if you need another tight end, it depends. What do you need? Gio, give me more insights, bro. Like, do you need another tight end? Do you need, like, are we talking Tucker Craft, and what do you need? Wayne said, would you do a Dunze and Judkins for Achan every day of the week? Give me Achan there. For sure. You're going to need a hammer at running back, and you're going to, for Trey Tucker. Oh, on your team. Okay, Gio, I got you. Gio, have you given me your full team? Gio, I'm not seeing your. Did you type in your full team for me? Gio, dude, I don't have your full team. So give me your full team. If you give me your full team, I'll tell you who to drop for Trey Tucker. But since I don't see your full team, it's hard for me to say who I would do it for. But yes, Wayne, I would do 100% do the HN side easily there. And you say, can you please choose 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex? Bijan, Judkins, Chase Brown, JSN, Odunze, Rice, and Ibuka. Yes. 2 running backs for me would be Bijan and Chase Brown. And then 2 wide receivers would be JSN and Rice. And then I would do Ibuka. So I'd go Bijan, Chase Brown, JSN, Rice, Ibuka. Wayne. Anthony said, I'm like a crackhead looking at the waivers, feeling like I need to make moves when in reality, I don't think I need to do anything but throw up my weekly prayer. See, that's the thing. Like, you always think, like, hey, maybe, like, yeah, like maybe potentially I need to make a move or something needs to happen. But sometimes I feel like I drop a player or like I don't start a player because I'm feeling like less confident. It's like the moment I don't feel confidence in them is the moment they pop off. But the moment I continue putting them in my lineup is like when they keep throwing up duds. So I'm with you. Fantasy football. So I want to drop him off my team. My bad. Any waiver wire suggestions? Players may be available. Shahid. Oh, you're talking. Okay. Let me just give you some ideas. So like if Trey Tucker you're wanting to drop, yeah, like I would prefer Rashid Shaheed. I would prefer Christian Watson. I would prefer Tez Johnson. I would prefer Jacoby Myers, Josh Downs, Ricky Pearsall. Those would all be guys that I prefer over him. Like even I don't know if Alec Pierce, I don't know what your size league, but Alec Pierce needs to be rostered. Romeo Dobbs, those types of guys. So don't know if that helps. Gio, don't know what level league. Hopefully I gave you different stats based on potentially people that would be better available for you. But we are getting there. We're getting there. Any final start sit questions, make sure you throw them here in the chat. I'm excited for tomorrow, Thursday night game. It's going to be absolutely great seeing the Patriots and the Jets go at it. It's going to be hopefully all Patriots, and then we'll see Justin Fields if he can throw for more than 50 yards. At that point, I'm going to stick out Gio or Wayne or Anthony out there to try to see if they can throw more than 50 yards in the NFL. Because I'm betting you if you just checked it down to Breece Hall like 20 times a game, like you should be able to get more than 50 yards passing. Do you guys agree? I don't know. Anthony said Jags did BTJ dirty by not trading. They did do him dirty, but I agree. Like I don't think Brian Thomas Jr. is I think him doing crossers is an issue. I agree. Like he's not catching the ball over the middle, but I do think it's a Trevor Lawrence issue more than it's a BTJ issue. Gio, I might get 10 yards. Dude, that's what I'm saying, Gio. I think you could get 10 yards easy. 10 yards easy. Galaxy said start Odunze over Diggs and Marks. Start Odunze over Diggs 100%. Start. I like the matchup. Like I do like the matchup for the Patriots. But I have Diggs as a top 20 and I have Odunze as a top 15 play. So I have them about 5 spots apart. And then Marks over Harvey. Oh, dude, the Marks volume was beautiful, but I think you still have to lean into RJ Harvey because of the lack of competition there. It's a good matchup versus Tennessee, RJ Harvey versus Kansas City, but like really the running attack's been one of the only things that have been keeping the Denver Broncos offense grounded. And so I lean into RJ Harvey, just kind of, I think he's the better running back, honestly, even if the matchup is not as good as Woody Marks going up against Tennessee. But like, this also feels like Woody Marks versus Tennessee could just end up being like a 50-50 split again with him and Nick Chubb. Or this could be the game that it's just Marks another full breakout here for Woody Marks. So it kind of just depends. I think both are close, but I prefer Harvey, and then I prefer Odunze, though. Galaxy, appreciate you for tuning in. Hopefully everything goes well. But as always, guys, you guys are the absolutely best community on YouTube. We absolutely appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in on your Wednesday night. Again, my video comes out on Saturday, so make sure you guys tune into my mustache video. On Friday is going to be the sneaky stash video with Addison and John Paulson. We're answering every start sit question. So if you guys want your start sit questions, put them into any video. We will 100% be doing it. Anthony says, I'm like the guy behind the bookshelf in Interstellar. I can't remember his name right now. Watching myself drive. Oh, dude. Yeah. Or it's like the SpongeBob where they're like in the sewage drain watching, their friends play. And you're just like, no. Yeah, I know. Both of those memes absolutely work out there, Anthony. So when it comes to BDGE, but appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. If you're on X, make sure you come over, check out the 4for4 Fantasy Football YouTube channel. If you guys are on YouTube and you haven't already, checked out the 4for4 website. Highly recommend. John Paulson's rankings. He's a top ranked fantasy football ranker in the space, as well as the start sit tool. All of that is available with all the articles. So if you're not getting enough fantasy football from YouTube, definitely go check out the 4for4 website at 4for4.com. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like I said, Anthony, Eddie, appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.